Hi everyone, welcome to the Menzies School of Health Research podcast series for the NT Youth Health Summit initiative called Youth Choices, Youth Voices, where we aim to hear from young people and specialists about youth health priorities in the NT. A special shout out to our sponsors for this event, including Hot North, CDU, the Northern Territory Government, NTPHN, Bridging the Gap, Ironbark Corporation, and Charter Air. I'm Lateesha Jeffrey, and today I'll be having a chat with our Senior Australian of the Year for 2021, Dr. Miriam Rose Ungunmerr Baumann, AM. An Aboriginal elder from the Daly River, Dr. Miriam is a renowned artist, activist, writer, and public speaker, and in 1975 became the Territory's first fully qualified Aboriginal teacher. Miriam shares her story of Da Didi, which encourages an environment of listening and respectful discussions. Miriam's contributions have greatly benefited both Aboriginal people and the wider society. In recognition of her leadership, she was awarded a Member of the Order of Australia Medal and an honorary PhD in Education from Charles Darwin University, and was named the 2021 Senior Australian of the Year. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Miriam Rose. I feel incredibly honoured to get to speak to you today. I'm really, really nervous, obviously. I just feel extremely honoured to be here with you. And how are you going?
Yeah, I think I'm wide awake now because you're making me laugh.
Amazing. So we'll get straight into it. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you've come from, where you grew up, and what you're doing now?
I was born on the banks of the Daly, not near the water, but and grew up. It's about 10 k's upstream from the community that I live in now. That's called Nauiyu at Daly River, but the farm was upstream. So I was born there and grew up around that area, and the bush was my playground. And there were a lot of things that we were playing with as kids. We didn't need toys, and we made do with whatever we could find and play with. Yeah. And then my father died when I was about 4 or 5, and his brother, who was a police tracker at the police station at Daly River Police Station, and he said, I'll take on the responsibility of rearing me and my older sister. So we left my mum with other siblings, little younger ones, and he was offered a job in Adelaide River on the Stewart Highway, and we lived there for a while. And my dad worked with the police there, and my mum was the housemaid, and there was no opportunity for me to wag school. The copper made sure that I went to school every day. Bloody. And one day, as I was walking past, heading off to school after I picked up my lunch, I passed his office, and he said, "Come back here." And he used to call me Rosie. And come back here, Rosie. And I said, "Well, I've got to go to school. I might be late, And then he said, "No, I want to show you something." Because that night, Dad had to go with him to go and arrest somebody up the road. Yeah, he was yucking and all that and carrying on. And they went and he ran away from them. And my dad jumped at him and grabbed him by the leg to stop him. And he pulled his leg off. And then they kept that leg. It was an artificial one, of course. Not really.
I was waiting for that part, yeah.
And then he hid it behind the door in the office at the police station, this copper, and Peter, his name was, but Wilson. And he put this thing out, and oh my God, I nearly jumped out of my skin because that was the first time I've ever seen anything like that,
Yeah.
And I took off down the road, heading off to school to get away from him and the leg. I grew up there, and then we moved wherever he was transferred to. We went to Pine Creek, Mararanka, and then Dad retired from his work, and it's just a natural thing amongst Aboriginal people that if Dad had a brother, he's also my father. Our fathers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was married to my mum's sister, so she was just automatically my mum.
Yeah.
That's the traditional way, you know.
Yeah.
And I was really comfortable living with him, and he was really good to me and made sure, you know, there's nothing that I needed that he could help me with and all that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And then when my mum that read me that was married to my dad Joe, her name was Nellie. She passed away, and then he said it's traditional that because you're a girl, you can't, and your sister can't live with me. So I'll organise with the priest at Daly River, and he can come and collect you and take you back to your birth mum, you know. And
Yeah.
so I went back to that what used to be the mission at that stage, because our elders have asked the missionaries to come back. Because before that, about 100 years ago or more, 1800, the Jesuit missionaries were there. You know, Saint Mary MacKillop's sister, our brother, sorry, he was in charge of the stations there. They had 3 stations, and when they left, the elders said, "Oh, we're going to have these missionaries come back and help the kids and the elders and the sick, you know." And so we got the missionaries. Well, you know how they say that a lot of the communities, the government and the church round up Aboriginal people from all around the place and put them in a settlement of some kind. It wasn't
Yeah.
like that. We're the ones that rounded up the government and the missionaries. It was actually, and it was the eldest choice. And yeah, then we continued with our education with the nuns and so on. They were the teachers, they were the nurses, the brothers and the priests were builders, farmers, mechanics, you know, you name it, you know.
Yeah.
We didn't have any lay people there at that time. It was just all missionary. And yeah, and later on, when everything was built up and I become a teacher in 75, I think, yeah, 70 or 57, sorry. Yeah, I think that was when it was announced. After the 75, sorry, after the
1975.
cyclone.
Yeah.
Sure. And then they offered me a job to work in the school, the St. Francis Xavier's Catholic school, and that was exciting. And not long after that, I was offered a job by the government in Darwin, and worked with them for 4 years, visiting all the schools throughout the territory on cultural and art education. And yeah, 4 year came up, and um, I went back again to Daly, to Nauiyu, and continue to work there. And I met my husband, and he was a builder and worked with the Catholic missions, and he used to go do Tiwi, Ware, and Daly to look after the houses there for the church. And he was on top of the roof, putting after the cyclone. That there was a law that come in that they had to stabilise the roofs and the buildings,
Yeah.
so that they can withstand the winds and stuff. We don't get the
Yeah.
cyclone there. It's what the leftover is, you know. And I guess it's just as strong. It's lucky because we live in kind of we're bordered by ranges, you know, mountains,
Yeah.
which could also stop the wind from being really, really strong. Like when it was in Darwin, you know, it just flattened Darwin.
Yeah.
Uh, anyways, yeah, I met him and we got married a year later. And I said, I'm going back to Daly. I got a job there. You want to come? I said, yeah. And then because he already worked with the missionaries, it was just automatically they employed him as well. And then
Yeah.
the men in our community started to build a community more. And it's the houses that are still standing there. Well,
Wow.
Ken, my husband, he reckons he's retired now, so he doesn't do much. But the houses that him and the men that were working with him and teaching them, the houses are still standing, and a lot of them are 70 years old. We don't knock our
Wow.
houses down. Yeah, we have water come through, like flood water time and wet season, and we don't lose any of our houses like a lot of the other communities, they smash houses and break them, and you just walk through the door without a door on it, kind of thing, But they're all made out of brick, and a lot of the bricks are from the sand from the river. They made the bricks themselves, the fellas, and
wow.
And then I became the principal of later. But that was after when the Catholic Ed that I was working for, or that's the system, and they asked a lot of our local teachers to upgrade in their training. So I went back to Bachelor Institute.
Yeah.
And continued with my training. Deakin University, I was joint partner with the Bachelor, and ended up with the Bachelor of Arts degree. And then come back, got offered the job as principal, and then I started training about 7 of them, and they went through the same situation as I have and got their degrees. I continued on with Deakin and got my Bachelor of Education and Masters. And in that honorary thing that you were talking about from Charles Darwin. But and I'm trying to retire and run away from you, Mob.
No.
And I just get lassoed back into this thing, and look, I'm all right. But Blackfell Way, all the Buttlanders or Gutties are saying like, when you retire, you just do whatever you want to do for lost time and do the things that you want to do, And for us as Aboriginal people, that's when our time starts. You have to be becoming an elder and be recognized by the rest of the community members. And then you have that role as an elder, then to continue the work of passing on the knowledge that the elders from before have passed on to me, and others in my age group, and we pass on. And it became really good and easy for me because, with the ones that I trained to, they're in the same age group as I am. That helps them to be better in educating our young people. Well, they're our future, as you know, and pass on the knowledge to them now, sort of thing, So I'm not really retired, but these kids, they don't give up.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. You did speak a lot about, and I think over the years, about the importance of kinship care and Aboriginal children being taught by Aboriginal people. Why is this so important?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because now, education departments are always now saying today, parents are our first teachers.
Yes.
And so that was always with us,
Yeah.
And we've always walked with our kids and held our kids, and we still do hold them. And no matter how old they are, they get into trouble, we don't shun them, and we just hold them more and say, hey, we're with you, That's today, and tomorrow's another day. We can help you try again, that sort of thing. And because we have courts now in our community, if someone's in trouble and they have to go away to the free hotel in Darwin. And then we say, when you come back, we'll be here, and continue to work with you. We still love you, that sort of thing, and it's not, or they're not on their own to feel really bad about what they've done, and that helps them to become better people when they come out, knowing the families are still there with them and the community, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Thank you. And can you tell us a little bit about Dadiri?
You're getting worse, I tell you.
I know. Again, you're making me nervous.
Dadiri.
Dadiri.
Yeah, Dadiri. Yeah. Before that, there were things. Before I say anything about it, it's just. But I suppose that does play a big part in what we're talking about. We're trying to keep our kids together, you know. And I started up a foundation called the Miriam Rose Foundation, and it was to do with kids going astray. And at times there were, when the intervention come in, we lost 7 through suicide, and that was the first time that it happened in the community of Nauiyu. And it was very devastating for the families and myself, because the last one that took his life, he was 22. He was my sister's kid, my nephew. And I said, oh, this has got to stop. I've got to try and put a halt to it, you know, and I'll get the people in the community to support me and do something. And then I decided to set up this foundation to work with the kids in the community, and called it Miriam Rose Foundation. The health department rushed down there and said, oh, we'll help you and we'll fix it and blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, this is our problem. We're going to fix it, but you can walk with us, you know, that sort of thing. And because we're in the digital era now, and you have to help us look for what we have, help us look for what it is that's making our kids go astray. So there's, when I was growing up, I never had all these issues that the young ones, and I feel sad because there's drugs and alcohol and mobile phone and short, you know, relationships and all that sort of thing. And that just had come into play with our young ones. And so we lost 7. And I said, this has to stop. And it has. It was in 71. And right up until now, it's starting again, kind of thing, you know. So we have to keep doing what we first started with at the very beginning, when all those things happened in that time before. To continue to walk with our kids. And Daddy is also a big part in that, as in getting them to sit and listen. And like, I'll continue to do this at the school. I run the cultural education at the school there, and I take them out on country, tell them about places, name places, and sacred places, streaming places, important places, and we talk about who are the TOs of the land. We go and meet them and get them introduced. They have assembly. We bring some of the elders in, and they come in and stand in front of the kids and say, I'm so-and-so. And, you know, oh, that's my nana sitting there. That's my niece. She's a teacher now at the school, you know, because we've got a lot of local people trained up now and working in our schools. And but and things like that. And I've got 6 kids or whatever, you know, and I was born and bred here and so on. So kids know then who those people are. And when I'm sitting with the children in a session, each and every one of them I talk to get them to listen and instill in them about who they are, their dreaming, their Aboriginal name, who they belong to, where is their traditional homeland and all that sort of thing, you know. But what relationship they have with me, Nana, Mummy, Auntie, great grandma, all that sort of thing, you know. So when they see me in the street, they don't call me Miriam, they say Nana or Mummy, that sort of thing, you know. And to make them feel, you know, we've always got this thing as Aboriginal people, as everyone matters. And also they belong, we belong, everybody matters, you matter, and that sort of thing. And they're not there on their own to face the world. And it's through Dadadi that we talk to them about the deep listening and the silent, still awareness, being aware of where you are. And you don't just listen on the outside, you listen on the inside as well. whether it's happy stories or sad stories, you still have to listen.
Yeah, wow, that is so powerful. I'm just like so intrigued. And you've already spoken a bit about why it's important to keep culture alive. And I'm just wondering, like, why is it important for young people to learn culture? So you also spoke about, you know, going on that journey with them and reconnecting them. And like, yeah, why do you think it's that important for young people to learn culture?
It's important that we have to continue to pass on the knowledge of what had been passed on to me, and I've got to give that also to the young ones around us in the community. And you know, I work with kids from about 5 up to about 25, you
Yeah,
know, and or older. And I've got them dancing now. We've never did our dances for a long time, 15 years. I've got them blowing digits, making up songs, getting elders to help them sing and ask them what sort of songs that they should sing about, that sort of thing, you know. And then we've got from the smallest to the biggest dancing. We're all getting ready for NAIDOC just recently. And before that, a couple of NAIDOCs ago, I got everybody in the community dancing, you know, and
yeah,
everybody was crying.
yeah,
And it what happened at the old, and they've never seen anything like that for a long time, 15 years, only because we lost a lot of our elders.
yeah,
You know, they passed away, and everything stopped. And we picked up the pieces from them and then continued that. And kids are now playing didgeridoos, singing, and everyone's dancing. A lot of the older people are coming in, supporting and helping to bring back the dances that we belong to, you know. And it's important to have that belonging of whatever it is, you know, whether and music is healing, and
yeah, yeah,
also the art. You're talking to the children about their dreaming, and then telling them about what it is and that why it is that you have this. Like, you know, if you ask a non-indigenous kids, who are you? Where do you belong? What are you doing? Where did you come from? They have to think about it first before they answer, you know. They might just say, oh, my name is Smith, my surname is Smith, and I have to look on Google or computer and find out where that name originally came from, kind of thing, you know.
yeah,
But our kids, they know already. You ask a 5 or 6, 7-year-old kid, they'll tell you who they are and where they belong and what language group and what dreaming they have, you know,
yeah,
and that sort of thing. And they're very strong in that sense. And yeah, we went over to Pepe for a ceremony for the young men, and they got up and started dancing to support the boys that are and welcoming them out from isolation. And the people from Pepe and Wadair and Palumpa and all those places, Enemy Point, they were all saying, wow, them data mob can just get up and do that. They're saying, where did they learn all that from?
yeah,
You know, they were surprised that they were doing it, like dancing, but it's lovely. And they're not afraid to do it. I keep saying, this guy's not your dance. That's like white fella. But look, we can never be white people, and white people can never be black fella, but it's important. There's supposed to be two-way learning, you know, learn
yeah,
about Western ways, and Westerners should learn about us as well. And look, that's our reconciliation. I invite people to come to our community and spend time with us from southern states. And a lot of them have been coming up for the past 15 years. But then the COVID had put all this to a thing, you know, halt.
a hold, yeah,
So, and a lot of it was to do with study and cultural education and the arts and the dances and going out on country and camping and all that sort of thing with them.
yeah,
And a lot of them were students from different colleges down south.
yeah,
And then I say, look, hey, this is for the long haul, you know. You're just not here to say hello and goodbye. You're going to keep giving back. And some of them do. They become someone, like a teacher or a policeman or a builder or a accountant. They come back and bring their family or their wives, their kids, and see us, visit us. Which is good. And from where those kids had come from down south, a lot of our kids go to their school now from home, from Nauiyu, which is great. And they support them, and sometimes we have them homestay with them, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there should be more if people are going to come closer to understanding you and I,
Yeah, yes.
Better,
well,
better.
Hopefully
Because
COVID
we've
can
got to walk
settle
in
down.
two worlds. Yeah.
And that's right. Like, I know me, I'm the same, like that walking in two worlds, that really sticks with me. And that's what I talk to, a lot of our youth about as well, is that's actually something that, that's amazing. That's something we should wear on our sleeve, to say that we can walk in two worlds. So thank you for sharing that. So just going a little bit more into the health, what do you think is the connection between culture and health?
Between what?
Between culture and health.
Help.
Yeah.
Or health.
Health. Yes.
Me, now I can understand you. Culture and health. Well, if you were, I won't say preaching, but if you're talking to the children on Daddy and the belonging and the country, going out on country, listening to nature. Daddy is I read in a book that had been written by an anthropologist, and he was from Canberra, Dr. William Stanner. And there was a paragraph that he wrote in his writing, and he said, he come across Daddy himself too. And it was a priest that brought it to my attention, that had been working with this anthropologist just when I was just starting to become a teacher. And he said, hey, come here, we want to talk to you about this thing. This priest said to me, Father John Leary, do you know that your people have a beautiful thing in this deep listening, silent, still awareness? He says, I don't really understand. I'm going, but keep talking. And he said, yeah, well, Dr. Stanner come across it with your people when he was studying here with your mob, and he come across this thing amongst the elders. And I reckon you and I should sit down and write about it, and you have to come up with a name. He said, and then we did write it, and it only ended up with us writing a 2.5 page of it, enough to use it as a teaching aid for everybody. And so it's important that they understand what that really means. It's based on, this Dr. Stanner said, it's out of all the religion in the world, Dadi is based on nature. And if it wasn't for nature, me and you shouldn't be here, because it's what our people connected with, the land that we walked on, feeling that they do belong, no matter where you are, no matter whose country you're on. You're still walking on somebody else's country, but you belong into it just as much as to be ours, And wherever you come from, that's your homeland. But we've got to look after the land. We've got to listen out and be aware at all times with nature and with whoever you're with, so that you can still have that connecting and feel that you belong with your family, your friend, your workmates, that sort of thing. And with the country around you. And that's where all the healing comes and the health. If you don't have time out to replenish, some people come to the daily like tourists, and then we talk to anyone, down there and say,
Yeah.
hi, how are you? Any fish? If you got any fish, give us some, that sort of thing. We just tease them.
Yeah.
Like barramundi is famous for barramundi fishing, and they say, oh no, I didn't catch anything. Oh, we might have caught one last night. This year, he says, they say, and then what's that? And then I say, we didn't have much rain last year and the year before.
Mm.
I say, so the fish also has to have a rest to
Yeah.
replenish, and that's nature telling us that we have to slow down and us be replenished
Mm-hmm.
and having some quiet time and find your spirit. And if you don't do that, I know sometimes it's hard. When I ask people to sit down quietly and take some time in, they find it really hard and they end up crying. Some of the visitors that used to come to me, I can't. I got kids. I got work. I look after the house. I got to pay the bill. I got to drive here, there, and everywhere, kind of thing, And I do that every day. Well, that's where the sickness start coming into, and the health you're talking about,
Yeah.
So you've got to look after your spirit.
Yeah. Thank you. And I agree. And that resonates with me as well. Especially about the barramundis. Love me some fish. So let me know when they're there again. So just last question. How was your year as Senior Australian of the Year? How has it been? And what have you done as a part of this role? What do you hope to do?
I've been nominated so many times, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 times, and then they used to send a message and say, "You got to come up for the ceremony. Look, there's about 4 of you been nominated, and for that category or this category or whatever, there might have been 4 categories." And then I said, "Nah, I'm tired now. Just drive up there, go to that ceremony, and nothing happens. You're just wasting a lot of time. So I'm not going to go." I said. And then they kept at me, "Come on, you gotta come," And I said, "Do you know something that I don't know? And the reason why you keep screaming at me to come," I'm going, to these people. "No, you just come and listen." And I said, "No, all right." So I went, and sitting in the audience, everything, and then Michael Gunner up there talking and talking about the 4 categories that the people were nominated for,
Yeah.
And they could have been 2 or 3 in one category and another 2 or 3 in another category. They have to pick one,
Yeah.
Out of that, here we go again. I can say it was just going to be a waste of time. We're sitting here, listen to Chief Minister, in the bag. My name come up, and I said, "Oh my God." I had a big roar, because my family was there too, my son and kids and nanas, and they were all screaming at the back there, and everybody clipping and clapping and carrying on. So he invited me up to where he was and congratulated me and handed me the whatever trophy. Then he said, "You're on the way to Canberra," But yeah, I was stoked, and they were blooming like paparazzi or what are they called? They were at me, all of a sudden. After when the ceremony was finished, we had dinner and everything, and they dragged me outside, and it was the convention center in Darwin, waterfront. It was just one after the other, outside, inside, in a room, whatever. Hey, come on with this kind of stuff. But look, young one, I might be famous, but I'm not rolling in money now. It's nearly finished the year, and I hope they can just leave me alone.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've just shared your value. I think, just being able to talk to you and listen to your story and, sharing your thoughts as well has been really amazing for me. So,
I've been on that
see that for a year.
not because of the senior Australian of the year,
Yeah.
but since I've been working as an educator, under the pump, I've been dragged from pillar to post all over the blooming country, Australia.
Yeah.
Worked in different states down south and all that sort of thing. But look, I've coped, and I think it is what I have inbuilt in me, in that
Yeah.
I can have time out.
Yeah.
And make myself well again. That's in my spirit, and then continue on the next day. When if, like I'm saying, if you don't do that, you're gonna end up in Ward 1 at the Darwin Hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you get sick.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's right. But honestly, yeah, thank you so much for joining me today in the podcast. And do you have anything to add or any messages you'd like to share with young people before we finish?
Yeah, I feel, look, there's going to be a lot of young ones that are going to get through whatever it is that they're doing in life, in their life journey. And if it's that they're still at school, I know it's hard, especially when you're in high school years. It's hard because of all the expectation as in their studies. And that's because I've just been to St. John's College in Darwin and gave a talk to the whole of the school there. And some of the ones that have been chosen to be leaders in their year 11s, and telling them, look, it's great that you've been chosen. So you've got to be a role model, not just for a few, but for all of the students there. And you've got a lot of young ones here, and they've got to follow what you do and believe in you, because they know that you're like the boss here, sort of thing. And they've got to follow you. And if you start playing up, and no matter if you do it outside of college, they'll know, them kids. You've got a mobile phone, and they can check you out on that, and Facebook, and Instagram, and whatever. And they say, oh no, I don't know why they picked that person to be a leader, and he's no good. And anyway, but I say to the young ones, it's hard, and you have to do your best to try and walk the straight and narrow, and study year 12, 11, getting ready for, end of the school years of yourselves. It's going to be hard because you're going to be out there in the world, and get a job, or find a trade and study in that to become whatever, and that's going to be hard. But and of course we're in the digital era, where you're going to be expected to be on the move almost 24/7 kind of thing, keeping up with Tom, Dick, and Harry. And that's getting faster for us too in the community. Government give you money to do a project, and they give you a timeline, and we say before, no, we'll do it at our pace, and we'll still finish it in a good way. And because where communities are much slower than if you're in the cities, But the things that the young people have got to face, I've never had to face as when I was growing up, and I look at them now, it's harder for them than it was for me. I never had fast cars. I never had TV. I never had mobile phones. So there was no grog and ganja. Could deter you to go the wrong way, and so on.
It's quite like, because I'm a mother as well. I've got a 4-year-old daughter, and that's what I think. I'm like, what can I do now that'll help her when she gets to that age when she's going to need it? And that's why I like mentoring youth, because I'm like, you're going to be my daughter's mentors, so I need you to be doing good. I need you to be good role models for her. She's not only going to look at me, she's going to be looking at her peers. She's going to be looking at, you know, those big cousins and the family that's around her as well. So, you know, you try and do your part as well. So yeah, but thank you so much for joining me today. And that was the 7th episode of our Menzies School of Health Research podcast series for the NT Youth Health Summit initiative called Youth Choices, Youth Voices. So many, you know, there's been so many times the strength of our young people is directly related by the courage and wisdom of our elders like Dr. Miriam Rose. So I'm very grateful to have gotten to speak to you today, and thank you for joining me. If you can, please support the Youth Health Summit initiative by getting in touch via the Menzies School of Health Research website. Thank you for listening. Please join us again next time.